Hi, we're going to explain to you how to use this amazing Fisher stove to heat the house by building a fire inside of it. So I wanted to explain where each of the items to build a fire come from before we get started. So over here we have kindling. That's in the garage. It's found inside of some of the little trash cans on the side. So you can just pull some of that out into this bin. This is fire starter. You'll need one of these cubes to make things easier. This box lives up here behind the stove. These are matches. These are above the refrigerator. This sits on top of the stove and should be filled up with water before starting this process. You can lift it up off the stove that way. Here we have paper products that can be used for kindling. So in this case, we're going to be using old phone book here. And then that lives over in the corner here. Then we have wood. That's going to be in the garage. This is for the ashes, which I'll show you about later. And then these are all the things that you can use to move the wood around once it's hot. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to take the old ashes out of the stove. So these should be unlocked, so you should just be able to pull. If for some reason it's locked, then you may have to turn one of the handles. Open it all the way, and you'll be able to see the ash inside from before. So what I'm going to do is take the scooper, scoop some ash out, move the bin right next to it, and put the ash in. So now you can see that I've put all the ash in the bin. If this bin starts to get full, what you need to do is fill the bin partway with water and then use this to stir until it's sort of like a mud, and then you're going to take it and put it outside. If you were to put the ash directly outside, you could potentially start a fire, so that would be very bad. Don't do that. Just in case, I wanted to show you that we do have a fire extinguisher. This is above the refrigerator, and there's also one in the garage. Okay, so now we're ready to get the kindling into the fire and set everything up. So you'll see that I've basically made little newspaper balls with the paper products. So, and I've made basically a floor of that in here. So that's the first thing that's going to catch when we set the fire. Next, I've broken up some kindling. Now you can see these are pretty small pieces of wood. And those we're going to use to form the bottom that is going to go against the paper products. The second piece of kindling I've used are the bigger pieces. Those are going to go towards the top because those take longer to get ignited. So as you build a fire, the easiest method is just the log cabin method. So basically I'm going to put one this way, sort of across the top, and then one along that back side, along there, and I'm building a rectangle. So if you zoom in, then you can see that I'm starting to build sort of a rectangle with all these little pieces of kindling in here. Okay, so I've put all the kindling in, the small and then the big, and then I've saved these biggest pieces for last. So those ones I'm going to make into a teepee pattern. So that's going to hold up the bigger log that I put in the fire. So for this one, you can see now that I'm sort of going across the fire like that. So when the flames start to come up from these pieces, it'll light over this part of the teepee. And then I can place one of the larger pieces of wood on top of that. And in fact, I usually do that ahead of time. It's different for everyone else, but I'm going to fill that in as the fourth part of my teepee here. Okay. So now there's plenty of air for the fire, which is important. And next we're going to get into how to get the fire starter in there. So next I'm going to show how to get this going. So we got our strike anywhere matches. Fire starter can sometimes be a little tricky to get started, ironically, but I'm going to hold it along this edge here, and then see it's not started yet. And now you can see that you have some starting on the side here. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it right into the center here and gently place it down without burning myself. Okay. All right, so now we've got the fire started. Now to get the fire from the fire starter to the paper products, I'm going to go ahead and just blow on it a little bit to get it to catch. It's already starting to do it a little bit. All right, so now it's starting to sort of spread out from itself. The other way, if you don't want to blow on it, is to actually close the doors and then just leave one a tiny bit open. That's going to draw air in quickly this way and then up through the smokestack. So now if I open it again, you'll see the fire spread substantially. Okay, so next I'm going to close this up, leaving it open a little bit. I'm going to make sure these dials are completely open so we have lots of airflow. Airflow is really important in the beginning of the fire to get everything caught. We're going to check in on this fire in a little bit. All right, well now we have our fire started, so I'm going to give you a peek. I've closed the doors. These are fully open for most air. And you can see that the big log has caught. So that means our fire is good to go. I want to go over some safety information that's very important at this point. So first thing is never use any lighter fluid. Lighter fluid is really dangerous and also really bad for your health, so never ever put that in here. Charcoal, also really bad. Should not put that in here ever either. Never leave the doors wide open because sparks can jump out of there onto the carpet potentially and could start a fire. So you want to keep them closed. Next, never touch the iron kettle or the main part of the stove without oven gloves on. The iron kettle will become just as hot as it is in the stove. So you can see this thermometer over here. I just started this fire only about 10 minutes ago and it's already to 200 degrees. So you can see how hot it is. Areas that you can touch are these. These will not get hot, and the dials are also safe to touch. When you go to sleep, you want to turn the dials all the way to close because that'll put the fire out. Same thing if you leave the house, you want to turn these all the way to close. Make sure the doors are closed. That'll put the fire out. So to increase the heat and to start feeling it throughout the house, we got to get higher than 200. So things you're going to do are put more wood on the fire. You'll see that I put it with the open side down, so the bark side of any wood isn't going to be as flammable as the inside of the wood. So I put that in, and I put it in a crossing pattern so that air can still get underneath that piece. Okay, next I'm going to turn these dials to be about halfway open because that's going to allow for the fire to burn hotter. And last thing about that is, because we have a high ceiling, the heat will rise up to the top of the ceiling. There's a fan on the ceiling that will bring that air back down. The remote control for that fan is right by the bathroom. Last, if you start to lose the fire, which is super annoying, the easiest thing to do is to put more of the smallest kindling into the fire. You can use one of the fire starter bricks again, and then blow air on the fire to get it to catch again. Well, that's all I have for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and enjoy our house.